It's 11 p.m. The office is empty. No one is on call. A tenant has 5 problems: a radio that won't heat, a TV that won't tune, a Wi-Fi password they can't find, and 2 more things they haven't mentioned yet. Over the next 4 hours, all 5 will be resolved. Every thread picked back up, every question answered, no human involved. That's not a prediction. That happened in week 1. And honestly, I slept through the whole thing.
Which, let's be honest, is very on brand for you, Paul.
I prefer delegation at its finest, Amanda. I'm Paul, Director of Essential Management, and this is the transformation year, a real-time account of what happens when a property management company decides to stop talking about AI and actually build it. Week by week, wins, losses, surprises, all of it.
And I'm Amanda. I work alongside Paul. And my job on this podcast today is to ask the questions that you're probably thinking and occasionally stop Paul from making it sound too easy.
She's very good at the second one.
Today, 4 weeks in with Stan, he's agent 1 of 7. And here's what actually happened. So right before we get into Stan, let's just set the scene a little bit. For those of you that are new to the podcast, who is Essential Management and what problem are we trying to solve, Paul?
Well, Essential Management is an online property management company. We specialize in HMOs, housing multiple occupation, and serviced accommodation. We operate across the Midlands and Northwest, Stoke, Crewe, Birmingham, Burton through our sister brand, and now expanding into the Southeast. We have a 15-person team, which sounds impressive until you realize 15 people managing hundreds of rooms across multiple brands are permanently at capacity. The model works, but it doesn't scale by adding headcount.
Okay, so AI was a capacity increase play?
Partly, but also, I think, a quality play. When your team is stretched, response times suffer. Tenant experience, bad service, late responses, and with the Renters' Rights Act coming in this May, significant higher compliance expectations. You can't afford to be reactive. You need systems. I've been in business for 40 years, scale companies to well over 70 million in turnover when I was in the travel and hotel booking sector. What I'd learned is that businesses that survive market shifts aren't the ones who wait to see what happened. They're the ones who built for what was coming.
I agree. So you didn't want to just test AI, you wanted to get stuck in and start building something.
Yeah, 7 somethings actually.
Of course you did.
7 purpose-built AI agents. What was I thinking? Each designed to transform a specific function. Stan is agent number 1, customer communications. Then there's Reggie for compliance, Mabel for maintenance workflow, Alma for performance monitoring, Iris for landlord inspections, Priya for product and market intelligence, and Colleen for knowledge management.
Wow. And as of this week?
The developer told me he's adding an 8th.
Number 8.
Yeah. So I can sleep comfortably at night, he said. I'm not sure what he means, but he probably felt my anxiety at these automatons invading my life.
He said that, or you asked for it and he agreed, number 8?
Both. It was a little bit collaborative.
Okay. Let's just talk about the build, because people hear the word AI agent and assume it's just clicking install with some sort of easy setup AI agent and they just walk away. But what did it actually involve to build?
Well, it was nothing like that, actually. Our developer worked directly with the 2 team members, Bless and Ellis, to transfer their knowledge. How they handle each of the maintenance requests that come in, how they communicate, what the edge cases look like. There were quite a few edge cases because you have to invent hypothetical scenarios.
Okay, so you're going to have to explain edge case for our listeners.
Edge case is one of those situations, what if this happened, what if that happened, what would the agent do?
Okay,
and he was thinking it through as a human would, but trying to translate that for computer code effectively.
Got it.
We fed Stan hundreds of real conversations from our history. We mapped well over 150 edge cases. What if a tenant reports a leak at 2 a.m.? What if they mention multiple issues in one message? What if the address isn't clear?
There's a lot of what ifs, isn't there?
And even after all of that, 50 minutes after launch, we hit a scenario we hadn't planned for. A tenant responded to a virtual inspection request in a way that completely threw Stan.
In 15 minutes.
15 minutes. It was unbelievable. You couldn't have made this up. I like to say I handled it with great calm. I laugh because that's exactly what I expected. Not the exact scenario, but something unexpected. AI deployment in the real world is not a controlled environment.
Yeah, I understand that. So what did you do?
We just logged it, fixed it, and moved on. That's not a failure. That's how it works. You build carefully, you test thoroughly, and in reality adds a few curveballs. Fortunately, it was another AI app we have been running with Stan read and reacted to. He wasn't supposed to read it.
So it was like, in real life, there's consequences to this.
Absolutely. The worst, absolutely no respect for the flipping test plan. That's the reality of it.
Week one, what are the moments that stood out for Stan?
I think the signature story is quite a simple one. A tenant had low boiler pressure. Stan walked them through the fix step by step. In plain English, no jargon, no making them feel stupid. The tenant came back and said, the pressure's going up. Thank you so much. And Stan responded with the prayer hands emoji.
The prayer hands emoji?
Yeah.
So Stan does emojis?
Yeah. I looked at that on my screen and said out loud, oh my God, game over. No contractor, no call out charge. No one's even interrupted. A tenant felt genuinely looked after, and perfect humility from Stan. You can't make this shit up. I've got to tell you.
I mean, by something that technically doesn't exist. It does, but it doesn't.
By something that technically doesn't exist. Yes, I actually love that expression. Also called magic.
Yeah.
The accidental element is always there with Stan.
And then what about the losses? Because we've always got to share the things that perhaps don't go right with Stan.
Oh, yeah. Stan sent a job to a housekeeper who cleans carpets. Only carpets. The job it sent was for her to fix a washing machine job that wasn't spinning.
So how did that happen?
I genuinely can't explain the logic. We spent a while trying, we gave up. We're still laughing about it in the office.
So did she actually go to clean the washing machine?
She did not go. She called us instead, which was the correct response. And look, that's not Stan's fault. It was probably our fault. Wrong configuration, wrong data. Stan did exactly what he was told based on what we built. Lesson landed on us and we've learned, and now we're moving on.
And I guess the AI does reflect what you build. As your phrase in, you put good in, good out, bad in, bad out.
Yeah, absolutely. And tweet that phrase. It's always a mirror. Garbage in, washing machine, engineering, out.
That's not the phrase.
Which is now. The other moment from week one that shifted things was the Wi-Fi code. I'm sure you remember us heartily laughing in amazement at this. A tenant asked for their password. Stan didn't search its knowledge base. It scrolled back through the conversation history, found the moving confirmation from days earlier, and pulled the code from there without making the tenant feel like they'd missed something obvious.
And you didn't specifically program Stan to do that?
We didn't. We worked it out. And that's the moment you start thinking about AI as an automation and start thinking about it as something else. Magic. When I was a child, I always wanted to be a magician. Maybe this is my time.
Maybe. And what about the out of hours story you was telling me about?
Yeah, 11 o'clock at night, stand alone, one tenant, 5 problems, Wi-Fi, radiator, TV, and more. Coming back and forth for over 4 hours. I think the tenant went out to get something to eat. Stan waited every time, picked up every thread, resolved all 5 issues, 0 human involvement.
Is this whilst you slept again?
Yeah, I slept through it and read back the text the following morning. And that morning, something shifted, I've got to be honest, because that's 4 hours of tenant support we couldn't have staffed economically at that hour. That's a different model entirely.
So let's fast forward weeks 2 and 3. I'm excited. So what happened? Because this is starting to look a bit like a drama series on TV, and I'm excited.
Well, week 2 was about consistency and finding the gaps. Stan was fast, almost frighteningly fast. And that speed creates an oversight problem. You can't read almost 900 conversations a week manually. So we started building a monitoring dashboard, daily sampling, accuracy checks, job completion rates. We are reading every message while we test to understand everything, but going forward, it's going to be sample testing. And apparently this eighth fail-safe agent, according to the developer, is going to help us do that.
I'm just calling it number 8. It hasn't got a name. It's like number 1. This one is going to be called number 8. So you went from it is working to actually, how do I know it's working? Because are you saying that in a week, Stan responded to 895 messages?
Not quite. Stan generated 895 messages back and forth. And each message generates an email. And that's how we're doing the testing at the moment. So still a lot of volume.
But that would have been 895 messages in theory that our team would have been doing because they do that sort of volume.
Absolutely. We also found that what I call the 3-way loop problem. Stan's excellent with tenants, but when a job goes out to a contractor, the loop doesn't close until they confirm completion. And some contractors won't do that. Stan can't close a job if he can't verify the job is complete.
So you've got brilliant AI, but then you sometimes got incomplete humans.
Every time, brilliant AI, incomplete humans, you can put that on a mug.
I'll get that for you.
Okay.
And then week 3?
Customer service went live in a limited sense, and a question landed that I wasn't fully prepared for. Stan knows which jobs are outstanding, who they're assigned to, how long they've been sitting open. The question, should we program Stan to chase our own colleagues when jobs aren't getting them closed?
Okay, so hold on. So this is not Stan speaking to tenants. This is Stan speaking to our team.
Correct. And I kept turning it over in my mind because Stan would probably do it better than most managers. No awkwardness, no relationship to protect, no hesitation.
So are you saying that Stan would be a better manager than you?
I'm saying Stan will be a more consistent one, different thing entirely.
Okay, do I need to pack up my desk or?
But I think what I will say, I decided against it because it felt you had a poacher turned gamekeeper scenario or whatever that saying is.
Yeah. So customer service is fully live. So what happened?
The best analogy I found, it was like releasing an excitable baby pet into a house. He wanted to investigate every room, every corner, every conversation that came through. I spent the entire weekend reading what it had handled.
You working for an entire weekend? That's not new, is it?
My entire weekend, my family were delighted as it was Mother's Day. The moment that stayed with me wasn't a technical achievement. A tenant said thank you or something at the end of a conversation. And Stan said, very naturally and unprompted, "You are welcome. Can I help you with anything else?"
Okay, and that's notable because?
Because nobody on our team ever says that. Nobody, not because they don't care, they do, but at the end of the conversation, they're already thinking about the next tenant they're going to assist. Humans naturally protect their time and energy in ways that we don't even notice. Stan doesn't experience that ever.
So when he says, "Is there anything else?" he generally means it.
Every time. And I thought, what if we took 56% of the communications off the team's plate, gave them the breathing room to actually mean those words when they said them? What if the goal isn't just AI doing more, but humans doing better because AI is carrying the load?
That's quite a shift from we just need to handle more maintenance requests.
I bet, yes. 4 weeks will do that to you.
So what about the hard moments from this week?
Stan became a little bit too soft. A tenant whose washing machine broke down wanted us to cover their laundrette receipts. Stan's instinct was empathy. "I'm so sorry, that must be hugely convenient."
Which is nice.
Yeah, it's lovely, but the answer is no, and a hard no at that.
Because these things happen, and that's that.
Absolutely. And saying it warmly doesn't change the answer. Where training stand to hold its ground when the policy is clear, warmth and firmness are not opposites.
Yeah, that's true. So Stan needs to find his backbone.
Yeah, absolutely. Stan needs to find its spinal backbone. We're going to work on that. And also, Stan is actually exposing some of our gaps. Every missing follow-up, every slow response, every tenant query that fell through the cracks before, it logs absolutely everything. It's washing our dirty linen in public within the business. You know how that has landed with me.
Yeah. And so how did the team take that?
We had a meeting. I told them it was a double-edged sword. Stan is helping us enormously and simultaneously showing us everything we need to fix. The room was rather quiet.
I was there, yeah.
Yeah, you were there. And then something shifted slightly. Two departments saw the potential of what Stan could do for the first time. There was a look on their faces, I think genuine curiosity about what could actually be possible. So it wasn't actually anxiety, but I think secretly underlying excitement.
I would describe it as it was like cautious optimism, but with a side of, oh no, there's homework.
That's pretty accurate. There is homework.
So what's next for the agent program? I'm excited.
Before the end of March, we start building Reggie and Alma. Reggie handles compliance. Alma handles performance monitoring, and the timing matters because of the Renters' Rights Act. Alma, I already know, is going to be my favorite agent. It stands for Almighty Agent. I just made that up.
I like it. I like it. But tell listeners what it actually means.
Royal assent for the Renters' Rights Act came through in October last year. Phase 1 implementation starts from May this year. It removes Section 21, no fault evictions, ends fixed term tenancies, replaces them with periodic rolling ones, brings in a new decent home standard, significantly more compliance burden for both landlords and managing agents like ourselves. And here's the thing about legislation like this. The people who drafted it genuinely wanted to help tenants. The unintended consequence is that small landlords are exiting the market because the risk and compliance burden makes the economics hard for a small portfolio. That reduces supply. That pushes rents up, which hits the tenants the legislator was trying to protect.
The law of unintended consequences. You should write about that, or you should do a podcast, because I know you like that subject, your whole game theory passion.
Oh, yeah. It's a classic example, and the answer isn't just to resist the legislation. It's to be able to deliver what it demands without destroying the business at the margins. That's where AI changes the equation. Reggie tracks compliance continuously. Alma monitors performance across the whole team. Processes that would have needed another hire or being quietly neglected now have an agent running them around the clock.
So it's like you can be a small operator, but you can have the capabilities of an enterprise level business. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You're so on point today with your one-liners and surmising. Without enterprise level headcount costs, that's the whole model. And we're also enhancing Mabel, our maintenance platform, so we can move away from our current software provider. I think that's going to save us £2,000 a year, providing more flexibility and capability.
Which is not huge, but again, it's not nothing, because as we start to roll out these agents, we can look at what other software we just no longer need.
It's not nothing at all. Every agent we build either saves costs, creates capacity, or both. And they keep on doing it month after month. No sick days, no bad Mondays, no pension contributions, no minimum wage. There's a long list there.
I bet Rachel Reeves loves these. But look, unlike some people,
Yeah, unlike some people. I include myself in that.
Okay, so right, someone's listening to this, they're a landlord or they're an agent and they're thinking about AI. So what's the honest advice from someone who's 4 weeks in to some of our listeners?
I'd say start with one process, not the whole business. Pick the thing causing you the most repetition, the questions that come up every week, every day, the communication that goes out the same way every time. the follow-up that always gets delayed. Get your team involved, not as spectators. As a source of knowledge, Stan knows what it knows because of Bless and Ellis. We sat down with them and transferred their experience into the AI. The team is the training data.
That's so true. And for people that think they can just get this out of a box, you always see adverts. Do you want an AI agent? Set one up online in a few minutes. Does that work?
It doesn't. Anyone who tells you it is selling something. It works because you invest the time to build it properly. And then it keeps on working month after month without a sick day, without forgetting what it learned last Tuesday. For as long as you keep investing in the oversight.
It's like that Duracell promise. It just keeps going and going.
Yeah,
and going.
exactly. I used to say the same thing about building a property portfolio. Do the work once, get paid month after month, year after year for as long as you own the property. AI agents work the same way. Do the work once, get a long-standing agent doing the heavy lifting for as long as you have that agent.
So it's like the same principle, but a different asset. And it is an asset.
Yep, same principle, different asset, and considerably less damp.
Let's not talk about damp. So is there anything else you wish someone had told you before you started this whole rollout?
That it would have made me feel things I probably wasn't prepared to feel, which sounds a little bit over the top, but I keep writing he when I talk about Stan. I've had to correct myself every single time because when you watch it work, the patience, the warmth, the way it reads the situation, it doesn't feel like software. It feels like someone who's just really good at their job and actually cares about the customer.
And we were even thinking about whether we need to give Stan a face. Bring him into the meetings, maybe a cardboard cutout. But you built it.
Yeah, and I built it with the help of the team and a great developer. And I know exactly what's under the bonnet. And yet...
Well, that tension between what it is and how it feels is something I think a lot of people will recognise when they start using AI in the people-facing roles.
Yeah, I think so too, definitely. I think it matters because that tension is also what reminds you that it isn't a person and why the human oversight layer is really important.
Yeah, and why just stuff out of a box? I can't really see how that works. So where can people follow this agent journey?
LinkedIn and Facebook, search Paul Samuda or Central Management. Every week of this deployment documented as it happens. The wins, the losses, the housekeeper who nearly had to fix a washing machine.
She's never going to let us live that down, is she? Anna.
Never. And nor should she. If you're a landlord or an agent thinking about AI in your business, DMs are open. Not selling anything, or at least not yet anyway. Just sharing what we've learned.
So it's agent 1 of 7, 4 weeks in, 7 more to go. We'll see you on the next episode.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.